Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Amy from BusyBeadsNMaille. I've been offline for a little bit, but I'm going to be doing some videos here over the next week or two. So keep tuned and be sure to subscribe down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the bell icon so you'll get notifications when the new videos come out. So today I wanted to do a Byzantine or a chainmail weave, and so I wanted to start with the Byzantine. It's the one that I started with when I was learning chainmail, and I think it's probably the easiest one to learn if you're just starting out for chainmail. So what I'm going to do is, actually here's what the Byzantine looks like. That's what it looks like. It's a very cool weave. It looks very intricate, but it's actually pretty easy once you learn the steps. So that's what it looks like. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Now the typical aspect ratio for Byzantine is 3.5. That's the recommended aspect ratio. What we're gonna use for the final bracelet today are 18 gauge, and that's SWG, 18 gauge, 5/32 inch jump rings in bright aluminum. So that's what we're going to make the bracelet out of. But before we get into that, I thought I'd use some larger jump rings to show you the basics and the basics of the pattern. So these are 16 gauge SWG bright aluminum. They're 1/4 inch. The aspect ratio on these is 4.0, so it's a little bit bigger than the recommended for Byzantine, so it'll be a little loose, but I think it's much easier to learn the weave looking at these larger jump rings than looking at the smaller ones. So first thing we need to show you if we're doing chainmail is how to open a jump ring. So jump rings, when they're created, it's a piece of wire that is wound around a mandrel, and it looks like a long spring, and then it's cut down the middle, which is what gives it its openings. And I don't know if you can see the opening that's in there. Yeah, so it's just a little opening, but what you want to do when you open up a jump ring is you want to rotate back and forth. You don't want to pull out, you don't want to pull up or down, you want to rotate your wrists back and forth. So what I like to do, since I'm right-handed, I like to hold on with my left hand, which to you looks like this is the right part of the screen, but this is my left hand. And I like to hold tight at about the 10 o'clock mark, and then I grab with my right hand on the 2 o'clock mark, and I just rotate back. Okay, I'll do that again a couple more times so you can see what I'm talking about. Again, you want to be at 2 and 10, and then just rock back. All right, and I'll show you what happens if, now these are 16 gauge, so they're kind of big, but I'll show you what happens if you pull out. So if you pull out, that's what it looks like. And it's not very nice. It's all misshapen. You're never gonna get that back to be a round jump ring. So that's why you wanna make sure that you pull towards you, okay? Now the other part is closing jump rings. And so what you do when you close a jump ring is you actually close up that gap. So what we're gonna do is same thing, about 10 and 2. Now I grab on a little bit more surface area when I'm closing. And you wanna push in slightly as you bring the ends of the jump ring close to each other. So I don't know, you can see that, but the end of the jump ring, there's still a split there, but it's now closed. And if you heard, there's a little click, and that's when the ends of the jump ring, That's when they're touching each other. So that's a good sound. Okay. So that's closing jump rings. Now, what I'm going to show you today is something called speed weaving. And it's basically, normally on a Byzantine weave, you would open up a whole bunch of jump rings and close a bunch of jump rings, closed as in what I just showed you, and then weave them together. But what I'm going to show you is opening a bunch of jump rings and leaving jump rings in their original state, not closing them until you start in the weave. Okay? I don't know if that's the correct term or not, but that's what I was told it was when I started, so I'm just going to keep calling it speed weaving. If that's not accurate, I apologize. Another couple things I wanted to talk about, you'll need 2 sets of pliers, obviously. Now these are bead-along pliers. They're specific for chainmail. They have that stubby nose on them. And it gives you more surface area to grab onto the jump rings. Now it's also shorter. A normal chain nose plier is pretty long and the tips are really kind of narrow. So the shorter distance gives you more control and more leverage. I really like these pliers. I've got these on Amazon, so I'll put the link for them down below. And something else to show you is the thickness of the padding on each handle is different. This one's a little thicker than this one. Okay, and that's so you can put extra cushioning either on your fingertips or in your palm. It's up to you. I usually do on my fingertips. All right, so the very first step to a Byzantine is you want to start with a 2, 2, and 2 chain, which means 2 jump rings attached to 2 jump rings attached to 2 jump rings. So to start that, you take 1 open ring and you'll put on 4 of the open state jump rings. Now, if you want to go ahead and close a bunch of jump rings instead of doing it this way, that's perfectly fine. At that step, then you would just add the closed jump rings. So we're going to go ahead and close that ring, and then you want to go around and close the 4 original state jump rings that you put on. And if you're going through the weave and you look back and you notice that you forgot to close one of these, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. You should still be able to close it. So it's best to close them all at once, but if you forget, that's fine too. So I'll show there's a 2, 1, and 2 chain. So 2 jump rings with 1 attached to 2 jump rings. And we want a 2, 2, and 2. Basically in Byzantine, everyone has a buddy. So you just pick up another open ring, and you'll go through 2 of the first rings, and then you'll go parallel to the one that's already there in the middle, and you'll put the other open ring and then close it. Okay. So now you can see we have a 2, 2, and 2 jump, or 2 chain. And that's what we need to start. Now, what I like to do is I'll usually put a paper clip on the end just so I can hold on to it, but in this case, I'm just going to put a little twist tie on it, just so you have something to hold on to. So you'll see we've got our 2, 2, and 2 chain. So the first part of the Byzantine weave is you want to hold on to these bottom 2, hold on tight. They're not going to they're not going to go anywhere or do anything in this round. And kind of make sure you've got the 2 that are in the middle secured. Now, I mean, they can still move, but they shouldn't be floppy like those, okay? So I'm going to turn it towards you, and you'll take the 2 floppy jump rings that are on the top, you'll put 1 on either side, and then you're going to push them towards the back so that they lay against the very first 2 jump rings. Okay. And then you're going to open these two middle ones, and I just noticed that's not closed. I'll get it here in a second. And then what that creates is that actually creates a channel right there. If you can see that. Creates a channel right there, and that's where the next jump rings are going to go. So you'll pick up an open jump ring, put it through, and then go ahead and close it. Okay. I'm going to close this one just because it's not all the way closed. All right, so you've got the one that you just added, and then you take a second open jump ring and put it through the same path parallel to the first one you added. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to cross them like that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you don't want to cross them, okay? You want to make sure that they're parallel or else the weave won't work. All right, so go ahead and close that one. And then what you've got, here I'll put it this way so you can see it a little better. What you've got is 1/2 of a Byzantine segment. Pretty cool. All right, so now let's keep going. And like we said at the beginning, Byzantine's base is a 2, 2, and 2 chain. This is the first 2 of the next chain. So you'll want to add an open jump ring, and while you've got it open, put on 2 of the natural state or closed jump rings, depending on how you're doing it. Close your open jump ring. Close the 2 jump rings that are on there if you did the original state or natural state jump rings. Okay, and that gives you, flip, that gives you a 2, 1, and 2 chain. Okay. Well, we need a 2, 2, and 2 chain, so the middle guy needs a buddy. So we're just going to take the piece, put the open jump ring through the 2 that are attached to the first half, go parallel to the 1 that's in the middle, and grab the last 2, and then close it. Okay, so now if I lay it down, you can see we've got the 2, 2, and 2. Okay, so just like before, same thing, you hold on to the bottom piece, the bottom section, the bottom 2 of the chain, make sure they're secure. Then you want to hold on to the 2 in the middle just so they're not floppy. Take the 2 that are floppy on the top, split them apart so there's one on each side, and then bend them back, okay? Bend them back so that they're back touching the piece of the Byzantine, the piece of jewelry, all right? So then you're going to, well, they already spread apart, but you would spread those apart, and here's that path again. I'm going to show you right there. There's the path. So you'll pick up an open jump ring, and then you'll go through that path, that channel, and you'll close it. All right, and everybody needs a buddy. So do it again with another open jump ring. There you go. And close it. And there we have one Byzantine chainmail segment completed. All right, so that's what it looks like. And if we were making this into a bracelet, we would just keep going the same way we were. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up and get it set up for the 5/32 jump rings so that we can actually make a full bracelet. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and open up all the jump rings I need, which for this will be 100. And then, of course, I don't close any of the jump rings. I use the natural state. So once I get those 100 open, I'll come back and we'll continue. All right, thanks. Be right back. All right, we're back. So as you can see, I've got them in piles of 5 just so I can keep track of them. And there's 100 open jump rings. So there's my 100 open. I didn't close any because I used my original state jump rings to do the speed weaving. And then I've got my magnetic clasp, and then two 18 gauge 1/8 inch jump rings to attach the clasp. So I'll put those out of the way for now. Get my pliers out of the way, and then I'm going to group all the open ones into a pile. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this bracelet, shall we? So let's pick up an open jump ring, the 5/32, 18 gauge SWG, and we're going to put on 4 of the natural state jump rings, or 4 closed if you went ahead and closed some. And then we're going to close the open jump ring. And then we're going to go around and close the 4 original state jump rings that we put on there. And of course, if you've already closed them, you don't have to worry about this step. And there's the 3rd one. And the 4th one. Alright, so I'm going to lay that down. And hopefully you can see, but now you can see we have a 2, 1, and 2 chain. So in Byzantine, everyone needs a buddy. So we're going to take an open jump ring, and we're going to put it through the first 2 parallel to the one that was by itself, and then through the last 2, and then close it. Oops. There we go. All right, so now we have a 2, 2, and 2 chain. All right, so to make the Byzantine, make the weave, you hold on to the bottom 2, keep the middle 2 steady so they don't flop around like that. And then the 2 that are flopping around, you want to open them so that there's 1 on each side. Okay, push them back. Go ahead and open up the top 2, and then that path that's through the center that goes under the 2 that you just pushed back. Uh-oh, that might not be open enough. Nope, it's not. Here, then I'll just get another one. And you'll push it through, and that's 1. And then needs a friend, so we're going to go a second one through the same identical path, parallel. You can see that. And then close it. All right, so there is 1/2 of a segment for the Byzantine. Okay. So let's keep going. So the 2 that you added at the end are the beginning of the next 2, 2, 2 chain. So you'll need to add 1 open, pick up 2 closed, or 2 of the natural state ones, close the open jump ring, close the 2 natural state ones that you had added, so now we're back to our 2, 1, 2. Need to have the 2, 2, 2. So you go through the first 2 that are attached to the piece of jewelry, go parallel to the one that was in the middle by himself, go through the last 2, and then close the open jump ring. So now we have another 2, 2, and 2. So we can do the weave by pushing the last 2 back so that they're sitting against the piece of jewelry, or the segment that you have already. Open up the top 2, then take an open jump ring right through that path. right through the path again. And then we're going to close it. And then we'll put a buddy to him right through the same path. Okay. And then close it. All right, so there's one Byzantine segment done. So what I'm going to show you next is some different things that if you get a little out of order, that you don't need to tear it apart. You can definitely fix it and keep going. So the next part, we would have taken an open jump ring and added 2 closed. But let's say that you forget to add the 2 closed. You add the open one and you just close it. And you're like, oh, he needs a buddy. So you grab another open one and then put it through and close it. Okay, and you go to flip it back and, well, that's not right. That isn't going to work. Oh crap, I forgot to add the 2 closed ones. No big deal. You just take 2 more open and put them through the 2 on the end. And close it. And one more. And close it. All right, so there's your 2, 2, 2 chain again. So no big deal, the little flub up with adding the 2 without adding the closed ones. Not a big issue, can definitely be fixed. So let's go ahead and do the weave. We'll flip those 2 back, okay? Then we're going to spread open those 2 and then put an open one through there. And now let's say that you're like, okay, I got an open one, let's put on 2 closed and close it. All right, so I need to close these because I did the natural state jump rings. I didn't close them first. So I need to close that one. All right, so close this one. And then you start looking at it and you're like, oh no, I wasn't supposed to add those yet. Not a big deal. You take another open, go through that same path. So this guy down at the bottom has a buddy. Put the 2 on the end through that and then close it. And then just like before, just add 2 more open jump rings. Okay. Oops, dropped it. Okay, so you add the second one and problem fixed. Now you're ready to roll. All right. The only time that you have to take off jump rings or move back a step is say you accidentally put 2 more on there. So it's a 2, 2, 2, 2 chain. Well, that's too many. Oh gosh, so many 2s. So you would have to take those off, but otherwise it can be fixed. You don't have to tear it apart if you didn't add the jump rings at the right point or forgot to add them at the right point. It can be fixed. All right, so we're going to put these through and then I'll show you. Now we have 2 units, 2 complete Byzantine units or segments or sections, whatever you want to call them. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep weaving, and then at a certain point I'll speed up the next few minutes or whatever, and then at some point I'll probably just stop and come back with the finished bracelet, and then we'll show you how to put the clasp on and show you the finished bracelet. And then I've got some variations of things that you can do with the Byzantine. The reason why it's so versatile and it's a really, really cool weave to know, and to have it be one of the first ones that you learn, because you can play with it and do so many things with it, and it just gets you more and more excited about doing chainmail. It's really, really cool. So, all right, well, I'm just going to keep going here. All right, we're back. This is the finished bracelet, the finished chain, all done. So what I'm going to do is show you how to finish it with the clasp. Let's take the twisty tie off. So you want to open one of the 1/8 inch jump rings and go through 2 of the jump rings that complete the Byzantine unit, and then put it through the clasp and then close it. So there's 1/2. All right, and then you'll take the other 1/8 inch jump ring, put it through the 2 at the end, okay, and then go through the other half of the clasp. All right, and that's it. This is a really hard clasp. And that is the finished Byzantine bracelet. How pretty is that? I really like it. I like how the silver clasp just blends right in. It doesn't stand out. Very pretty. Very pretty. So I hope that you enjoy the Byzantine weave. I think it's a great first weave. There's so much you can do with it, and actually I've got some examples here of things you can do with it. Here's a just normal chain. It's made out of sterling silver and 14 karat gold filled. I've got the gold there just as a little pop accent. So that's something that can be done. You can use sterling silver, precious metals. Here's another one that's sterling silver and gold filled, but I alternated it within the Byzantine segment. I've got 2 gold, 4 silver, 2 gold, 4 silver, and 2 gold. So that's something else you can do, is alternate the colors within the segment. And then I went ahead and put Swarovski crystals in between each segment, just give it a little sparkle. It's something I think is really, really pretty. I like that. And then something else you can do is use EPDM rubber jump rings. I just call them rubber rings because the EPDM is too hard to remember, and I actually did look it up. And it stands for ethylene propylene diene monomer. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's rubber, basically. So what's cool about these is, don't know if you noticed, but there's no clasp on it. Because all you have to do is roll it on, and the rubber rings give just enough to roll it on. Same thing here. They roll on. And this one's the same thing. These are a little thicker rubber rings, and it's a little too small for me, so I can't roll it on, but it's the same concept, only this one I just did half Byzantine segments. Something a little different. So there's so many different things you can do with this weave. I even made, and I think that this was in the aspect ratio video, a ring using the Byzantine weave. I think that's really, really pretty. And I made these out of sterling silver and 14 karat gold filled as well, and they're just gorgeous. And it's really lightweight, it's nice to wear. It's not bulky at all. And then I just wanted to show you some kits. I got these kits from We've Got Mail, and they're going to be down below with a link. I've always got people asking me where I get my chainmail supplies. So I'm going to put some links down below with different suppliers that I get my chainmail jump rings through. There's the Ring Lord, We've Got Mail, Metal Designs. There's Etsy stores, eBay, even Amazon sells chainmail jump rings. So there's tons of places you can look, and I'll put some links down below. But this is a cool kit that We've Got Mail came up with, and they've got the Byzantine links going parallel to each other, connected. I think it's a really, really cool look. I like them. And I really like We've Got Mail for kits as well. If there's a pattern or a weave that you want to learn, but you don't want to buy like a ton of jump rings in case you don't like doing the weave, buy a kit. I can't say enough, buy a kit. That way you can get a feel for it, see if it's something you like, if you want to do, and then you can buy jump rings for it instead of buying the jump rings and then if you don't like the weave, you've got all these size jump rings that you may not be able to use. So I definitely recommend buying a kit. But so I just thought that was something pretty cool. So that's the Byzantine weave. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, but definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get updates when new videos are posted. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Any comments or questions, just put down below and I will answer them as soon as I can. Click the notification bell, make sure that you get notified when the new videos come out, and I think that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed making the video and teaching you guys the Byzantine weave. All right, and I'll see you next time. Happy beading!